And welcome to the Escape with Nick and Adam. My name is Nick.
What am I doing with my hands? I'm Adam.
And welcome to the random Sunday stream because we couldn't get together yesterday. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about He-Man. I would say like Heroes. No, He-Man Masters of the Universe Revolution, not Revelation, to follow up to Kevin Smith's, we'll say mixed received one that came out. What was it, 2 years ago now? And then also I want to talk about
Yeah, it was
go on.
2021.
Yeah, I would say it's time.
2021 is when that came out, and it wasn't like either you did. If I did, there were still things you didn't like. And if you didn't like it, I can't help you.
Well,
I'm
and
talking about
that,
the Revelation.
yeah, that's one of the things that we're going to talk about when we do get into the review of did Kevin Smith fix, did he save himself? Did he get it right? So, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. One of the things to do want to talk about is also a new show out on Apple Plus is Masters of the Air. Is done by the same company that did the Band of Brothers and also the Pacific. And so talk about that a little bit. And also, Adam, we'll see if there might be the big two course correcting a little bit as far as comics goes. So if we got time, we'll get into that a little bit. But how are you, sir? How's everything going?
I'm doing quite well. I didn't expect to fall asleep and take a nap before the show, and I heard I heard your text message and realized I was asleep and got up with this sense of urgency. You know what I mean? But I'm doing good, man. Today's the day. Today's a special day. Really, the reason I say it's a special day for us here in Detroit is because of what's going on with the Detroit Lions. When we win today, it's off to the old Super Bowl. But you don't even want to talk like that. You just want to. You don't even really want to talk. So I got football on the brain, and Masters of the Universe I have on the brain. That's all I think. All I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah. So just so if anyone's unaware, this is the farthest the Lions have made it in 30 years. So the city is quite. It's it's different. The city hasn't felt this in a long time. And Adam, I was gonna try and find a clip real quick, but so before the 2 weeks ago, before the Rams game, before the the teams were even out on the field, they were just out warming up. They had the Jared Goff chants going, and that's kind of become a rallying cry for the city. There was the Jared Goff chant at the Red Wings game the other night, the Western Michigan hockey game the other night, the Michigan hockey game the other night. I've seen the Jared Goff chant going off at cheerleading competitions. I've seen it. I think it made it into as far west as Chicago, like one of the Marquette games that Jordan Love, the quarterback of the Packers, just happened to be in attendance at, and it's just kind of one of those things where, yeah, it's just taken off, and the city's excited, and it's nice to see the city get a little bit of its due for being what a great sports town it is, and just something for the city to get excited about. So, but like I said, hopefully this will be the precursor to them going, because if they win today, Detroit will go to its first Super Bowl. Period. They have not been to a Super Bowl. They've won a world championship before it was called Super Bowl, but they haven't made it this. They have not made to a championship game since 1957. If that puts it in perspective.
I'll be looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
I'll be looking over my shoulder for the Grim Reaper once this happens. I mean, I am already looking over my shoulder for the Grim Reaper. I mean, what am I talking about here? But you know what I'm saying. I'm just making a wisecrack. I mean, it's surreal, man.
Yeah,
It's surreal.
and it's funny. I was hoping to maybe get our buddy Josh on, because I think I know he's a California resident, but he's a Niners fan, and that's who the Lions face today. And this is old hat for him. He's like, yeah, we've won, like 4 or 5 Super Bowls. We've made it to NFC Championship like 4 times in the last decade. It's like, That's nice. That must be nice. Like I got family over in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well,
Their kids are, I was like, so what's it like to have a football team that wins championships on a regular basis? Like, that's pretty cool. I'm like, "Son, you have no idea." Yeah,
they also have a football team whose stadium was in Dark Knight Rises.
correct. And
That's all.
I shot foot,
That was my whole point.
and I was like, and I brought it back to nerdy stuff. So well done,
What?
sir. All right, Adam. So
Yeah.
let's get
Wait,
into
what
it.
did you? What were you gonna say? You shot. Wait. What were you gonna say?
Oh,
You shot footage. What?
I shot footage of the implosion of Three Rivers stadiums before they opened up Heinz Field, which is kind of ridiculous because they literally built Heinz Field right next to Three Rivers Stadium, so they had to put these big, thick, like blast blankets in between the stadiums so that the blast wouldn't destroy the
Oh,
new
wow.
structure. But yeah, that was fun.
That's crazy. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's some of the cooler footage I've ever shot. But anyway, Adam, let's get into it. So, He-Man Revolution. Let's get into some of the cast because
Oh.
there was some change in the casting. From Revelation, you had Sarah Michelle Gellar as Tila.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
And now you have Melissa Benoist.
Yep, Melissa Benoist. You keep the most of the cast. Alicia Silverstone was Queen Marlena, and that is now done by Gates McFadden.
Now it's Gates McFadden is. Don't pretend like you don't.
What's that?
I said, you know who Gates McFadden is. Don't pretend like you don't.
Yeah, she's Beverly Crusher from TNG. So
that's right. This was a Star Trek heavy cast for when you had William Shatner, and then Granomir was played by Q.
Right. Yeah, and I was just looking at the cast. I was like, this is a freaking stellar cast. You have Mark Hamill as Skeletor, obviously. Shatner as Keldor. Stephen Root even is Cringer. If you're not sure who that is, go watch Office Space. Lena Headey, I think she comes back as Evelyn. Keith David is Hordak. And Keith David is probably going to go in the Hall of Fame if he's not already in the Hall of Fame of voice acting. Diedrich Bader's back as King Randor. And then you had Meg Foster as Motherboard. So just the
Do you know where Meg Foster is from?
I know she's from quite a few things. And since I have her IMDb page,
Meg Foster played.
She was Evelyn.
She played Evelyn in the '87 Masters of the Universe movie.
And also, what I know her more from, she was Holly in They Live. So, Adam, I have to say, just even based off the cast, I think this cast did a better job. I liked Melissa Benoist better than Sarah Michelle Gellar, and I think even Mark Hamill, like he did, because it seemed like Mark Hamill just kind of did more like his Joker voice last season. I think he kind of at least changed it enough where it's not as jokery for this season. But what did you think overall as
I think he stepped it up. I was afraid that Melissa Benoist let me say this right. She could do anything. She's a great actress. But I always heard her voice as She-Ra's. When they announced her as Tila, I was like, I wonder if it'll work. But no, worked just fine. She was great. I really liked William Shatner's character. I don't know if we're ready to talk about that right now. But he played the pre-Skeletor, which is Keldor. Thought he did a great job.
And let's be honest,
who played Hordak? Keith David.
Yeah, and let's be honest, William Shatner, he just shows up and does William Shatner. He's not doing anything else. I was just like, that's Shatner just being Shatner.
He did. I mean, it's not like he mailed it in.
No, like he did a great acting job, but there's no mistake that that's William Shatner. That was there was no extra
Yeah,
inflection or like Mark Hamill is a renowned character, voice actor. William Shatner showed up and he
right.
acted, but it was still just
Oh, you recognized, yeah, right.
right.
But you bring up, Mark Hamill this time around. He did a better job of toning down his Joker versus his Skeletor. His Skeletor being a little more down here, and he didn't say things like donkey and old
Yeah,
Lenny and things like that
there
Joker would say. He didn't have that Joker dialogue.
well, and I think overall, like there was still like the humorous bits there, which were fine, especially like towards the end. Um, but like overall, like I think they played it more straight, a little more serious
Hmm.
in certain aspects. Like I said, that there was some levity in certain spots, especially like I said towards the end with the Tila and He Man port. But yeah, I think just overall, I think the cast did a better job, and I think just overall, and just looking at the IMDb scores for Revelation, it's like a 5.6, and then already just from the reviews that are in for Revolution, it's already like a 7.9. So, and I think those are both pretty accurate. I think Revolution is just a much better He-Man product than Revelation.
I think Revelation laid a lot of groundwork. I still very much enjoy it, but it's hard. It was hard for me as a diehard fan to turn on Revelation all the time and not get that delivery of He-Man. Now that this is out, it's easier to. Everything is more all encompassing one kind of a thing. It gives you He-Man, just like you
Yeah,
would say a He-Man show.
yeah, it's shocking that the He-Man show, you get He-Man in every episode doing He-Man things. I'm just
Yeah,
like, it's really not hard. He-Man fans, as it turns out, aren't really hard to, just give them what they want. And all they really want is just He-Man doing He-Man things, which is,
right.
being, swinging a sword and, beating up bad guys. Not crazy.
I have a favorite joke in it,
Okay. Is it better than
and I
the
think it's like
fisting
right
joke from
after
last
that.
season?
I don't like that joke
No.
actually. I would love to edit like if we did like Lucas goes back and fixes Star Wars, which he never should have done. I'm saying like if they go back and fix that, they could take that right the fuck out of there. I do not like that line. Um. Anyway, sorry. I guess I get a little critical, but I like after all the drama of like he was trying to hold it together. Tia can't do it. Adam's like, I can. He grabs the sword. He's up there. He's like, Tia Lee jumps on her and he whispers by the power of Grayskull. It was so cool. But the best part was Cringer. All this time and you could have hugged me into being Battle Cat.
See that, like I said, there's a time and a place for joke for the humor, and I was like, all right, that was funny. Like, yeah, because he's a scared kitty cat. Like, just get. I
Yeah.
just wanted a hug, man. Like, yeah, that stuff. It's like I said, I don't mind when it's in. If you can throw jokes out there when it's in character, and
Good context.
that was a very in character joke that I think Cringer, I said, just the big kitty cat would say, be like, oh man, like, could have just hugged me the whole time? You didn't have to shoot me with electricity every single time. Um, but this one doesn't, and I'm gonna leave this up to you because this one kind of delves into way more lore than I remember. Uh, just from the cartoon, and even honestly I forgot. I was like, holy crap! Like, you just think it's like He-Man, and he's just like in this crazy Eternia place, but uh, and there's that weird balance between technology and magic and all this, and there's a heaven and a hell, but they call it Preternia and Subternia and all that, and they delve into a lot of that. So what did you think? What were some of your best parts and favorite parts, and also like how true did they stay, and how much did they kind of go out on a limb on certain things?
Well, Okay, so as far as the lore and how they stayed true to the lore in the original mini comics, okay, there wasn't by the power of Grayskull he turns into He-Man. There was just savage He-Man who meets the goddess, and she gives him his armor, which is the chest plate that he has, and an axe, and that gives him like the power kind of a thing. So when they used her as the snake goddess, and they talk about Ka, okay, the god Ka, they're referencing like the snake people. And if you remember when you were a kid, do you remember the Snake Men?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so the Snake Men never. You get to see them in the Mike Young production from the early 2000s when they rebooted Masters of the Universe then, but the Snake Men never made it to be on the Filmation show we grew up with. It was canceled by then. So seeing that leads me to believe we're going to get more Snake Men down the road because King Hiss is the third bad guy. You went from Skeletor to Hordak to King Hiss. We never really got that. So I'm excited about that. I thought that they handled that quite well. The whole using Havoc, that I think they thought of that themselves. I'm pretty sure they brought all three of those, Zor, Havoc, and Ka. I thought that was well played. I like how she was the Tri-Sorceress and how she couldn't really get that level until the transformation.
Well, and let's
That being
pause for one
being the
sec.
sorceress.
Yeah, let's pause for 1 second because what she was trying to bring back as a sorceress, she was trying to resurrect or bring back pre-Eternia, which is basically their version of Heaven,
Fraternia.
where they
Right.
after a character passes, that's where they go, and that's where they get the rewards and all that for basically living a good heroic life. So
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was bummed about in Revelations was that they destroyed that. I was glad that they're going to put that back. That very well played. I don't know. Did I answer your question? What else do you have for me?
I was just because they introduce honestly so much where they have and honestly I should have gone back and watched the first season, but I didn't want to personally because one of the big characters they brought in was Granomir by John DeLacy again, and because that was
Yes.
sorry, I have a dog getting in the garbage. But yeah, because they really played with just a lot of lore, and like I said, I haven't really gone back and watched the.
I went into the toy box for sure.
Yeah, I said between Granomir and then bringing Hordak and the Horde and all that stuff, and I don't remember and they made it Hordak is all about technology and doesn't want to do with magic, and then you've got Skeletech, and it was just like holy crap, like if they want to make toys from this line, if it's successful enough, like they've got a bunch of toys they can make from the show.
Oh gosh, yes. Okay, so this was something I couldn't wait to share on the show. We're going to talk about Star Wars real quick and the Return of the Jedi because this is like my best example. And I always felt Skeletor was kind of getting the same treatment here. And I think Kevin Smith, maybe being a Star Wars fan, maybe he thought about this too. I don't know. But so you remember, and of course you remember, but you know how in Return of the Jedi, Luke is trying to turn Vader back to the good side of the Force.
Yep.
And then Palpatine starts to kill and hurt Luke. And as Vader witnesses it, that's when he turns back to the good side. And he grabs the Emperor and he gets electrocuted at the same time. And he throws the Emperor over. Right?
Correct. Yes.
Are you with me so far? Yes. Okay. So then what happens to Vader? What happens to Vader after that? Unfortunately, Vader dies. Well, or fortunately, because Luke had to, that was what Luke had to go through to become a Jedi, and now balance is restored. I always felt like once they introduced Hordak in all lines of throughout Masters of the Universe, like Skeletor always had to kind of take a henchman or a bitch role to him because it was his old boss. And in certain ways, Skeletor was always kind of outwalked after that. When Skeletor beat Hordak, which I'm glad at the end he was being nursed back to health, and that's another topic. I'm glad he didn't die, but I was like, yeah, because I still love Skeletor more than I'll ever love like fucking Hordak.
Well, and
you know what I mean? I'm a Skeletor guy.
Well, Skeletor is just a better villain. Like, he's such an 80s villain where, yeah, he loses all the time, but he's funny and he's terrible. But like Hordak was just like you said, he was like that next level where what's the point of Skeletor if they're not equally powerful? And if they're like, the only reason, at least I'll give Kevin Smith credit, where the only reason that Hordak was he was just too arrogant to look over Skeletor this time, where he was, the arrogance got the best of him, and finally Skeletor actually he was able to say, "Oh, you needed me because you don't know how to, or you didn't want to use magic. But if I can use both, I can beat you," which I did think was very cool. But that's one of the things that I did want to get to now, because I remember with the lore of Keldor, and it was, I thought it was funny because I saw immediate lines drawn from Loki's character in the Thor movies, where he's the ice giant prince, and then Keldor is kind of like that same. Was that accurate, or was that something that they kind of might have pulled from Loki and from like Game of Thrones? Because there's the whole bastard son thing, which isn't necessarily just the Game of Thrones thing. It's kind of anytime you play with monarchies or anything, there's always a bastard son in there somewhere. But I was just wondering if that was pulled from Motu lore, or if that's just something they kind of added in, and might have pulled from Game of Thrones. And
it was the Mike Young production, 2000X, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe story that gave us Keldor, and that's where they got that from. So it's 23 years old into the lore. Originally, he was an interdimensional demon, and then they said that he was wounded and he had to be merged with Demo Man, which ended up being more like a power-up than like a merging of two beings. But as time went on, people settled for the Keldor Randor brother thing. And what they don't touch on in Revolution very much, in 5 episodes, like, you'd really have to get a whole episode going on how that happened. But King Nero was considered lost to Eternos, and he might not have been a king time. I can't remember if he was already king or if he was a prince, but he was stranded over in the land of the Gar, and that's what Keldor is. He's a Gar. You're an American. There's Chinese people out there. He's a Gar. He's a Garian, Gar, and they're anyways. Long story short, it's like a racial thing that they're not really well liked by everybody else on the planet. I don't even think they're native to that planet. And it was Keldor's mother that nursed Nero back to health. They kind of fell in love, and this all took place in a DC Comics run in the last like 20 years. And anyways, long story short, yeah, he did bring him back to the palace. They were raised as brothers, and then Keldor made his plea for the throne, and they were opposite of one another.
And also with Keldor being Skeletor, ultimately.
Right. Keldor becomes Skeletor through his training with Hordak.
Yeah, that one I was like, okay. I was like, it works. Like, I'll let it fly. But I was like, I'm going to have to go like I said, you're the Motu lore guy that I have. I was like, I'll see what Adam has to say about this.
Yeah, that one's been in place for like the last 20 years, at least.
So now, okay, because I was just looking at the credits. So we have writing credits from Tim Sheridan again, Barf, and the only reason I say that because of his recent stuff with DC and the Alan Scott Green Lantern. I have Tim Sheridan with 2 writers credits and Kevin Smith with as story editor. So, I mean, there's 5 episodes, so I'm not sure who the other writers are, where they're getting credited or not credited. But let's get to music. What did you think of the theme? Because I was like, I need that thing. I was like, where's that? Like, give me some version of that.
Wow. I'm with you on that, but I love that theme above all. But I think it's just the same thing that they had before. It's the same theme from Revelation.
I was like waiting.
It was all the same music.
I know. I was just waiting for the end, and I'm just like, are they gonna give me the damn like give me the theme song? Just give it to me. Like, that's all I want. I want He-Man and I want the theme song.
The end, I don't even know. I don't get me wrong. I liked it and everything. I don't know how I feel about there not being a monarchy on Eternia.
Yeah, that was definitely like okay. So, and I'm not sure if that's a hey, like modern day, we're gonna give the power back to the people thing, or it's just like, okay, then who's gonna run it?
Same questions I had with Demolition Man.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's like,
well, okay, we know who's gonna run it. It's gonna be Andra.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, all right. Yes, let the child run. Yes, let the or was that the play? Let's let the children run the government and see how it goes. Because let me tell you how that's going to go. Not well. But it's I.
But Ted Piacelli.
What's that?
Go ahead, Nick.
No, I was looking into some. I did go into some comment sections of certain videos and stuff just to see what people were saying, and that was one of the overall. Everybody really liked the series, Revolution, but that was kind of one of the things was like, no, you took the monarchy out of Eternia. Like, hey, Dad, I love you and all, but we'll just shit on your legacy a little bit here.
You're gonna be the last king. That's how awesome you are.
Yeah,
to me, it was like, I still don't want to go to work.
Yeah. Well, hey, okay, all right.
And that's Prince Adam going, I still don't want the job.
Yeah, if we're gonna air grievances, like here, he's trying to, after his dad passed, and he's got to do the coronation thing, and he's like, what am I gonna say? And then he tells the story about a bike, and I'm like, the Billow bike, that's the story we're gonna go with, a shitty bike that your dad made. And I'm just like, that one kind of hit flat out.
That didn't bother me.
It didn't bother me, but I'm just like,
it was something sentimental for him.
I get it, but like, I don't know. It's just if that one kind of fell flat, where I was like, you're a prince and he's done all these amazing things, and the shitty bike is what you remember, and you wish you had the bike now. And I'm like, no, nope, not buying that one. But like,
it's Man at Arms even told him though. Man at Arms was like, you can be both. You can be both. Let's do both.
Well, that's why I was like, can he not do both? Does he have to stay Adam? And I guess, and they tried to kind of say, well, my father was. I was like, yeah, but you're not your father. You can do both. You can be Adam and you can be He-Man. You can be the champion and the king. So whether they possibly try and do that later, but and one of the things that like I said, because I consider myself more of a normie at this point with the He-Man stuff than than you because, like I said, you it's something you followed for a long time. Like, like the whole power armor, getting all that stuff, and I'm just like, I got no explanation what's going on. Like, what just happened between him and Tila? And I'm like, was that just
But the battle.
what's that? When they get
God, I'm listening.
the super armor at the end, I was just like, okay, like it just reminds me very like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, where okay, well or Super Saiyan. Okay, now we're Super Saiyan 3, and it's a this, and then we're doing this, and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening, guys. I need someone. I need Orko to tell me what's happening. Orko, what's happening? He's got his little headset. He's like, well, they're powering up. They're doing this.
A new suit after.
Exactly. That's what I need.
Right. Yeah. I assume that I don't know why he got new clothes. I know why she got new clothes, and that's because she got transformed. But why he didn't get the normal stuff, I don't know.
Well, it's kind of what I kind of aced out on, Dragon Ball Z, because I was like, okay, well, we got here, and that's what we were doing, and then to beat this guy, and no, wait, there's a guy who's even stronger, so we have to do this, and we have to go to Super Saiyan Rose, Gold, Tico. I don't know.
Pie.
I'm
Super
like,
Saiyan Pie.
Yeah. So it's always my issue with just like kind of anime in general. It's like, well, we got here, but now there's another guy, and he's even worse. So we have to do this and that, and I'm just like, okay, like, and I understand, like, well, that's kind of my issue. If you're gonna keep the thing going, like, I'm just like, it gets kind of like Monday.
You know what I'm happy about? They're gonna bring Skeletor back.
Have to.
And he's normal old Keldor right now.
Right.
So when he gets the Havoc staff back, he's going to kind of be regular old Skeletor again. You know what I mean? We don't have to pick up where he was, for lack of a better term, at the end there when he was, magic and all the infusion part. That was Disco Skeletor, which was a fan favorite kind of a thing. And it was kind of neat how they worked that in there. Which that came from the Mighty toy line. It was just a repaint. And then, next thing you got pop figures of him like that and an actual lore on a Disco Skeletor. But, yeah, I like that he lived. And I like that he's going to be back to old bone.
No, and I like that part of, yeah, just give me the Skeletor. It's because he's a meme at this point where he says something ridiculous and then he runs away. That's all I want from Skeletor. Like, it's just like, say something obnoxious and silly, and then till next time,
Yeah.
What did you think of the portrayal of Hordak?
I thought the portrayal of Hordak was just downright evil. I think he did a really good job. I like the artwork on him. Did you notice the way he was standing in that flashback? When Prince Adam was a baby.
No.
If you look at the way he's standing in that window, it looks like he has something in his arms. And if you remember, that something is Adora. Now, they don't show it because, they probably don't know what they're going to be able to do, or they probably know exactly what they're going to be able to do, because the woman nursing him back to health is Adora at the end of when she takes that helmet off.
Right.
DC Comics called that character Despara. Despara was her name on Etheria when she was the God, I don't say troop commander. Come on, man. Force commander. She was the Horde force commander. And then Prince Adam brings the sword over there and blah, 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 and convinces her she's not evil and all that kind of crap. So that was She-Ra at the end. So they're obviously thinking about doing something with She-Ra.
That's kind of, I was like, oh, they're setting something up. And then once again, I went in the comment section. I was like, She-Ra. I was like, that makes sense. Yeah, bringing She-Ra in. So, damn it, I was going to say something. I forgot. Oh, it's gone. But Hordak, yeah, because
Evil Lady coming at Cosmic Enforcer.
Yeah, they did introduce a bunch of Hordak goons that I don't remember the names. I just remember them as toys with the Hordak crest on their chest.
Grizzlor.
Was that the
that first
the hairy
one?
One?
Like, no one. Yeah, he goes, first of all, I never fight my own battles. Blah, that was Grizzlor that came out, and the dude with the crazy eyes who looks like the bug, that was Montana. And then, of course, the green one with the suckers was Leech.
Yeah, that's because I was like, I had that toy.
Interesting that they didn't. It's interesting that they didn't show, like, I think her name is Scorpia, and then Catra, and like Shadow Weaver. They didn't show any of the women from the Horde. They showed none of the women.
Yeah,
I wonder, if they're holding on to that for a reason.
Yeah, I want because they.
So that's interesting.
But they did introduce so many characters that I recognize, and it's like, holy jeez, like if they can get enough momentum and make enough toys, like they've got enough for a few toy lines. So.
Well, that one character, Rio Blast, who was never made as character back during the original toy line. He was scheduled to come out in '87, but then the toy line was canceled. He was the one, hey, cowboy, pew, 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 pew. Remember him in the show? Did you see that one? He had the sheriff's badge on him.
Yep.
That's Rio Blast. He's a fan favorite. I hope they make a Masterverse version of Rio Blast. I'm in.
See, I'm trying to find out. I had a couple other things I wanted to mention now again, but and I forget. I totally forget how what was Motherboard's role again? Like she was kind of the in between Hordak and Skeletor.
Yeah, she was. I don't know. She was the Borg to me.
Right.
Pretty much. But I did watch a interview with Ted Biaselli. He's Kevin Smith's boss. Over all of this stuff at Netflix, and he says that's not the first and that's not the last Motherboard that there'll be. So Motherboard's new. I mean,
that was one of those things. I was like, okay, I remember you, but I was like, all right, fun.
But when they when Skeletor gave the box to Hordak, and her head was in the box. Dad at Arms, that's the name of the podcast, Dad at Arms. And he says, I also go by Colt. He was interviewing Ted Biaselli, and he said, was there any Seven fans, that were writing that? Any Fincher fans? He goes, yep, that's exactly where that came from. So what's in the box?
What's in the box? Oh, they did, and so they did. Oh, that was one of the things. So Man at Arms did not show up till what, episode 3 in this, and then he shows up and he's like, I'm not Man at Arms. He's like, I'm Man at War. I was like, that's pretty sweet. in the white suit of armor.
Yeah. That was pretty badass. But he was in the first episode.
Was he? Because I didn't. Because
I remember he was saying, my dad's only been gone a day, and he's like, that's one whole day. Eternia's been without a king.
Oh, that's right. Maybe just because he wasn't in the armor or whatever. But I was like, oh yeah. But that was
Yeah.
pretty much all. That was the only thing he had. He didn't really show up and do much uh, until was it episode 3, kind of when the battle kicks off.
Well, yeah, and then he takes the sword with Orko to Gwildor.
Right. And he was, and
Did you remember Gwildor when Gwildor was in it?
I did, and that's one of those other things because was he in Revelation? Because
No.
he was made up for the movie, right?
He was made up for the movie because they couldn't do Orko.
Because they couldn't do it.
So they made up Gwildor. Yeah.
And I was like, oh hey.
Yeah.
I was like, why does he look? I was like, oh, he's animated. That's why.
And then I love the line where you knew me as Man at Arms when we traveled across the universe. I was like, nice.
Yeah, they did have some nice recalls.
So the movie happened.
Okay. Right. And that's the so Adam.
Yeah. And in the background, the car was in there. The car from the movie.
Yeah, Adam. This is all people wanted for season 1. This was it. This is what the fans wanted.
Well, hey, it was a longer walk. That's all. It's a longer walk. We got what we wanted. Now let's bring on season 3.
That's fine as long as it keeps this.
You got to be ready for more.
I'm ready. I'm like, if this is how it's going to be, cool. You're going to F around with, because here's the crazy thing. So what they did in Revelation, the first season, I don't know if you watched it. Did you watch Scott Pilgrim? They did like an animated version of Scott Pilgrim.
I never seen the animated. No.
They did the exact same thing. They sidelined. They not sure if we killed Scott Pilgrim or not in like the first episode, and then he was out until like the last episode too. I'm like, is this some like what is this weird? Like, you already did this in Revelation and everybody hated it. Why are you doing it again in Scott Pilgrim? It's all Netflix. I'm just like, what is this some? I thought it was just like a weird, like, I was like, why are they doing this again? And I don't know who's the big brain over there who thinks like, this is good. This is a good storyline. We're going to sideline the main character for 8 episodes. I'm just like, no, like it's Scott Pilgrim. It's, Matt, I know it's Masters Universe, but it's He-Man. Put He-Man in the bleeping show. It's not hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who said that. I feel your pain. I felt your pain too. There's a lot of payoff in Revelation. It just, you got to see some shit like the sword getting split. That was a kickback to the original mini comics to where, that's why Skeletor this action figure came with a piece of the sword that you could put together as a key to open Grayskull. So it was cool to see things like that. They did a lot of things right in Revelation, and the one thing they did wrong was, not include He-Man. Yeah, I get it.
All right, Adam, what are you rating this?
Out of
We'll go out of 10.
I loved it, man. I'm giving it a 9.5.
Yeah, I'll stick with just about the. I'll go with the IMDb rating. It's an 8. It's really good. There's a lot of payoff. You get He-Man doing He-Man stuff, and plus you get Skeletor doing Skeletor stuff. You get Hordak. You get a bunch of. They went pretty crazy there in the sandbox of Motu, and I'm pretty happy about it. Yeah, like some of the lore stuff. Even I was like, I don't know what's going on. I'll go with it. It's fine. But yeah,
and there's a lot more deep cuts they can take.
I think it's one of those things you don't realize. Like I said, I just remember it being a really cool, fun cartoon, and then like later on, you're like, holy shit! Like the lore goes pretty deep. Like the whole the balance between magic and technology and this and that. And I was like, oh. All right, fantastic. So, yeah, I'm giving it an 8, and Kevin Smith, if this is how you're going to go with it, all right, let's keep going. Don't don't do season 1. Don't do it. I mean, you got a good thing going. Why mess with it? And then you still have to bring in you still get to bring in She-Ra. So
that's gonna be tricky because I think it's Sony that owns the rights to She-Ra. You know, as television goes, they can make toys, but they can't make, you know.
Sony got their fingers in everything. They ruined a lot of stuff between He-Man and freaking Marvel.
Madam Web's coming.
It sure is.
You say that like you can't wait.
Who gives a crap about that movie, man? No one wants that. It's. I don't understand. Like, I do understand what they're trying to do, but you're trying to play in the Spider-Man sandbox, but you don't want to put Spider-Man in it. So what it's kind of like that's my argument for the He-Man. Like,
sounds like Revelation.
if you're gonna go into the if you're gonna go into the sandbox, you gotta play with the toys, not like the toys that no one cares about. Like, honestly, everyone's like, "Oh, Madam Web." I was like, "Who the hell's a Madam Web?" Like, does anyone be like, "Oh yeah, we need a Madam Web movie," just to make give it to four chicks and be like, "Yeah, it's gonna be great." Be like, "No, we're good."
But Madam Web's an old lady.
And that's that the people who know is like Madam Web's an old lady, like not Sydney Sweeney. And God bless Sydney Sweeney, but there's other things I can go see Sydney Sweeney.
I thought it was Dakota.
What's that?
I thought it was Dakota Johnson playing her.
I don't know.
I thought Dakota Johnson was playing her.
That's how much I care.
Okay.
I do not care about this movie. Of the movies I'm looking forward in 2024, that's not one of them. So, are you gonna go watch it?
Maybe if it's streaming somewhere, I'm not gonna go to the theater to see it.
Yeah. We're not going to the theaters to watch it. One of the shows I did want to talk about that just came out on streaming was, Masters of the Air. It's made by the same company same production company with Tom Hanks that did Band of Brothers, The Pacific, and also I think all that stemmed from them doing Saving Private Ryan. So it's about the 100th Bombardier Group from World War II, otherwise known as the Bloody 100th, because they lost so many planes and so many pilots and crewmen. Trying to get the crews would have to do their 25 missions and then they could go home. And if you liked Memphis Belle, that came out in the 90s, which was one of the famous planes that finished up one of its missions and was able to go home. But if you're a fan of the Band of Brothers and the Pacific and you kind of want to see a different aspect of the war, I think it's great. That stuff fascinates me. You're just basically a semi flying and you're just getting, there's nowhere for you to go. There's no, you got these little fighters and you got guys from the ground shooting flak at you. And it blows my mind that happened a lot. And just like it's hard to get your head around.
I say this with the utmost respect to our soldiers and our troops. I don't know how. I'll even say with a little bit of respect to enemy troops. If most of the world was like me, it'd be like, all right, we're gonna jump out and shoot the other guy. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Nobody would jump. You know what I mean? But the plane would never get off the ground. I mean, we never would have figured out how to fly. It's like me. I don't know, man. That's scary shit. You've seen Apocalypse Now a bunch of times, right?
Oh,
or enough.
Of course.
Remember when they're landing on that beach the big scene, I believe, where they put on the music and everything. There's a scene where one of the soldiers is holding his gun. He's sitting in the helicopter. And he's just yelling back, "I'm not going! I'm not going! I'm not going!" And yeah. Man, God bless our troops.
And the cast, you have Austin Butler. Austin Butler played Elvis. Which, funny story, I guess he had to take a dialect
He's a
coach
good
in
actor.
order. Yeah, he's a dude. I have a prediction for him, and I'll talk about it in a second. But he had to get a dialect coach to make him not talk like Elvis so much. And it's funny because in the first episode, I'm like, is he still just going to keep doing Elvis? And he loses it more by episode 2. But my little prediction there for Austin Butler, he's probably going to be like the next great American Hollywood star, because that dude just got one of those, like, on the screen, you're just drawn right to him, and he's got that it thing where it's just like when he's on screen, you just go like, all right, I'm very intrigued. Whatever you're going to say, whatever you're doing, like that, like that's the guy. So
I guess I should have had a better follow up than yeah.
Sometimes you leave the, hey, what are you saying? Em's like, yep. Thanks, Monty. Thanks for the
word.
So, but it's gonna be it's supposed to be 9 episodes. They released the first 2 on Apple Plus. I know not a lot of people have Apple Plus, but it is. If you like the Band of Brothers in the Pacific, it's really good. But Adam, even like on a technical level, I think the color grading. Have you seen the videos where they took old black and white footage and they kind of ran it through a program and now it's like colored, right? Have you seen that footage?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
It seems like they added like a touch of that to the color grading, where some of the color grading looks just like a touch too much, like it doesn't kind of belong. It kind of reminds me of. I'm not sure if that was a technical choice or not, but I was like, huh, that's interesting, because the color just looks just a touch not right. I wonder if they kind of added some of that footage in there, because like Band of Brothers in the Pacific, like that's high contrast, very kind of grainy. It might be because it's like you're in the trenches, it's dirty, it's gritty, it's everything, and maybe because it's in the air, everything's a little bit lighter, a little bit softer, and maybe that's just kind of like a technical look they were going for, but it was just like it's something, just it looks just a little bit off. But yeah, and talking about the characters, so they had the air exec who's kind of like the boss, and Butler's character came back from his first mission and he said, "You didn't tell me it was going to be like that." And the first mission, it's just chaos. Like they lost planes in the clouds. They're expecting the planes to be there, and next thing they're like, the fighters came by, the planes are no longer there. Don't know if they went down. Don't know if they got lost in all the weather. And it was just like they did a really good job of portraying just the absolute chaos that it would be. Like I said, it's basically you're a semi with guns sticking out, but you got all these little, fighter jets coming to take you out now. Just like, not fighter jets, fighter planes, because jets didn't come until the end of World War II. But it just was. I think they really did a really good job of just showing how chaotic it is in the air, and it's just like how vulnerable, because you're literally just got to sit there and take everything they're throwing at you and just really hope they don't land a kill shot on.
Good grief.
Yeah, it's terrifying. But it's in the same way that they made the D-Day invasion terrifying, that made the the island hopping in Japan, and made all that terrifying. It's just like, holy, like, you think unless you were there, you think you got no damned idea. But
Oh yeah,
what really transpired.
I do not know. Let's put it to you like that. I mean, no matter how much I've ever read in history or what I've seen in television, or I do not know because I was not there.
Well, and even because I think even for like sports analogies, people are like, "Oh, that guy's a warrior," and I was like, and I try not to mix those at all because playing a sport is far different than obviously serving in battle. So I try not to even mix those, and I think people throw terms like warrior and things like that into sports, which there's certain times it applies, but I do my best not to mix those at all because it's not the same. Yeah, I've got far too much respect for uh, military veterans and people currently serving to try and compare you to someone that plays a child's game for fun or for professional.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, but yeah, definitely give that a recommend. So far, like I said, I think it's going to be. It's what I just saw. Uh, you know, googling things to try and get things to talk about. I guess like the Pacific obviously was not as successful as Band of Brothers, and it's like how much money did that lose? HBO, and it's like, dude, for the story they told in that, like it doesn't matter. Like the fact that that story got told is astonishing. And I know I hate to say this, like I hope they do another sequence, but the seafarer, like the submarines, that fought in World War II, and just all the how the battles that happen on between the destroyers and the carriers and stuff like that. Because I think they do an excellent job of portraying what the battles were like, and I was just like, holy geez. So and the Masters of the Air, I think they're on top of their game again. So
I
alrighty,
have to check it out.
yeah, it's definitely a recommend for me. And then last thing, what's that?
You know, I got a question for you. Have
Okay.
you ever watched Louder Milk?
I've seen it
Yeah,
on. I have not watched it, but I've seen. So I know you talked about it. I think a couple of shows ago. That's one of the things that you're watching.
I was watching it. I think um, it was it was good. There you go. That's my review. Check out it. I
Okay.
mean, I had it was funny. It was really funny. So
And I think the other thing that I blew through was Reacher season 2. I know you're a fan of
a
Alan
lot of people are
Richson.
talking about that Reacher.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's not
Now
as good
people
as
I see
season.
on Facebook want him to play Batman.
Yeah, well, he's gonna for his portrayal, and it's such a different take because I didn't watch Blue Mountain State, but I just see the clips. I'm just like, oh geez, like the guy can obviously act, you know. But Reacher season 1, I think is probably going to go down as one of the better uh, seasons of television of this decade. Like that's how much I think of it. So when people are, oh, it's not as good, I was like, you're talking like not that it's true detective season 1 level stuff, but it's kind of in that it's excellent. So season 2 not as good, but man, he is absolutely ruthless and amazing. It's amazing how ruthless he is in this season, and it's just kind of fun to see. It's one of those like it's almost a throwback to like that 80s 90s action hero where it's just awful and terrible
Yeah.
yet fun to watch. So because it just
Cool.
it's
Cool.
it's fun to see bad things happen to bad people sometimes, because as it turns out, like so many people have tried to deconstruct the villains, and oh well, they didn't get hugged enough as a kid. Be like, no, sometimes they're just terrible people doing things for money and they deserve to get punished for it. And he does that. So yay.
Yay! Punish the bad
Yay.
guy. Yeah,
Yes.
I get kind of tired. I get tired of
It's
deconstruction. It's been done.
it's been done, it's been killed, it's been, beaten to death. It's like I keep seeing there's a blurb for an article I'm not sure if it's a in-person or a publication article of, oh geez, what's her name? Damn it. Who's married to the guy from The Office? John Krasinski. Damn it. Drive me nuts now.
Oh, Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt, yeah. There's a thing going around.
Is there a delay?
Yes.
Do we have a delay? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing you just fine, I think.
Yeah, you're coming in just a little bit.
Why didn't you
like
say
a second or so. Is there anything you can do about it?
That's weird. I guess not. Yeah.
I was like, we're just gonna go with it. So. But Emily Blunt, there's a quote from her saying, if she reads, the title of her character, like in the first thing, strong female lead, she immediately says, no, I want nothing to do with it, because her, like everybody else, is like, I'm sick of strong female lead, and she just, if she reads that in the first sentence, she's like, I'm out. So, and that's kind of how it is. Like,
oh, so she doesn't want to play a strong female lead?
No. Nope. If she reads, if that's the the description of her character in the first sentence or whatever, she's like, yeah, I don't. She does what you just did. You eye rolled as hard as you could, and then you're like, okay, no thanks.
Right.
Adam
but I want her to play Sue Storm.
I think what's her name from Napoleon? I think she's supposed to be playing Sue Storm. I think Vanessa Kirby, and she was also in the last Mission Impossible movie. Yeah, she's kind of popped up on my radar recently. I mean, she's got the look for sure. I'll pull it up real quick for you. So that's I've only found out about her. I've only seen her in things the last couple of years. But
okay, I'm convinced.
She can act, and she's got the look, I guess. So
there's a face for Sue Storm. That's the thing. There's like this.
Yes.
I think Jessica Alba looked too much like Jessica Alba in the face to play Sue Storm.
Yeah, they tried to here's some blue contacts, and we'll dye your hair blonde, and they're like, yeah, not.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we still get to Jessica Alba, thank you, but yeah, she's not Sue Storm. But yeah, that's
she's got the look.
Right.
She's got the look.
It's Vanessa Kirby. She's in The Crown, Mission Impossible Fallout, Napoleon, Pieces of a Woman, The World to Come. So not too many things I've seen.
Yeah, that sounds gritty.
Yeah, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Yeah, the things I saw her in, she's a fine actor. So we'll see. If Pedro Pascal is going to be your Reed Richards, though, that's the thing.
What?
That's the rumor, man. He's supposed to be Reed Richards.
Don't you smile at me like that. Don't you smile at me like that, Nick. You watch your mouth. That better not happen.
That's supposed to happen. So,
he's not that great.
But he's the hot
he's okay.
actor. He's fine. Like, as the Mandalorian and in Game of Thrones, but it always astounds me that the actors and actresses who get known as the it actor and the hot actor, and we got to put this guy in everything. Like, they tried to do that with Channing Tatum and some other guys. You're like, oh, never mind, that didn't work.
Okay, you know what powerful friend I would like to have on my side?
Okay.
Taylor Swift.
Imagine
if you were friends with Taylor Swift. Taylor, I don't want Pedro Pascal to play Reed Richards. Okay.
Taylor,
Oh,
you can play Sue Storm if you want. If you make,
and she
the
talks
step
like Batman. You know what? At this point, she's going to have to because, she's not playing Dazzler anytime soon. Damn it. She's getting a little too old to play Dazzler.
What's I was she's like
I only say that because Dazzler's like a teenager.
right, yeah, not. But also, I'm like I don't understand the whole Taylor Swift thing. But also, like she's not young. She's like 35. She's not a child.
Yeah.
I mean, she's been around for a while.
Daniel Tosh made a really good joke about her in this whole Kansas City Chiefs thing. She always is. She's like, she writes songs about her ex-boyfriends and all this stuff. This is her now. If this guy screws her, oh, well, I'm telling the joke to him today. I'm not telling it to everyone at home. I'm just joking. So yeah, folks. Maybe he had a rush call. Around here, we call rush calls something like "got to go to the bathroom" with a sense of urgency. Anyway, here I am. I guess we're gonna wait for Nick to come back. She want to talk about Taylor Swift some more. But come on, Nick, hurry up. Where did you go, Nick?
Hello?
And we're back. I was like, I got nothing.
The wife started screaming. I'm like,
What
okay,
happened,
I gotta go.
Okay?
Cypress, our cat, caught a mouse and he had it in his mouth, and the mouse was still alive. So, like, okay.
Yikes.
So I tried to pick him up and take him outside with the mouse in tow, and that failed. So there you go. But anyway, I think that's a place to wrap it up for today.
Well, let me just tell Daniel's joke real quick because it will make you laugh. He said, if this guy screws her over, it's Taylor Swift. She could buy the damn football team and send it to London.
Yeah, that's yeah, she could basically buy her own football franchise at this time and put them in Antarctica if she wanted to. So
yeah. So, all right. Well, good stuff, man.
Yeah, so good talks, and go Lions, and we will talk to you later.
Go Lions.
Good night, America.
So long. Thanks for all the fish.